I'm Tom Winter, and this is SEO in 2025 Additional Insights.
Tom, what's your additional insight for SEO in 2025?
My additional insights for 2025 is to focus on the authority score and understand it. And this is actually a hard thing to do.
Okay, authority score. What is the authority score and where can people find it?
So basically, at the moment, I went to Brighton SEO and there's a lot of people talking about topical authority. Everybody thinks that it's a very important question, like what is exactly the topical authority of a website? A lot of people are talking about it, but it's really hard to measure, like what is exactly your topical authority and understand what's the next article that you can write within your topical authority to gain clicks straight away. And this is a problem that I really see happening. Basically, it comes from what I saw in the last data leak from Google. So they have a metric called Sitefocus score. Although I don't believe that they leaked too much in this data leak, this is something that felt really interesting for me. What I believe it focuses on is to understand exactly what is the focus of your website, to categorize it and put it into a specific pool. So to understand exactly what is the topical authority of your website. This is something very interesting from the perspective of us SEO experts and Google's perspective, because in my opinion, what I see all over the place is that Google is letting us to become like a topical authority in a specific niche, in kind of like a small pool. If you're HubSpot, you're an owner of like many pools. If you're a small website, you probably just need to talk about the specific niche and a very, very niche to be a topical authority in. Whatever you will publish within this topical authority, my hypothesis is that you will gain traffic straight away. And slowly you can expand that all over time. But the problem, as I said in the beginning, is understanding exactly what is the topical authority and how to measure it.
Yeah, so obviously it's one thing deciding that you want to be a topical authority in a particular subject, but then you say Google has already determined what your topical authority actually is. So how do you determine what Google perceive as being your topical authority?
First, I would like to tell you that you nailed the problem, because one thing that we're saying, like we want to be a topical authority, let's say in content marketing, but what we're writing and how Google perceives that can be a little bit different. And then there is a question, should we go with this topical authority that Google tells us and it aligns with what we want to, or we should switch? Switching is actually a hard part. But going to your actual question, is how to measure it. In my opinion, all this data is hidden in Google Search Console. So basically, we have all the keywords, all the clicks, all the pages, and we see how, if we publish new articles, we see exactly what's happening in Google through Google Search Console data. But the problem is that it's actually hidden there. So it's not like visually saying like, look, this is your topical authority, you should go after this. It's hidden with the keywords and how they're clustered inside. And we don't see the clustering, to be honest, because we only see the keywords and the pages that rank there. So like there's an easy way to do it and a hard way. Easy way to do it is use your own hunch. Go into Google Search Console, filter out by the keywords that gain the most clicks, export it to a spreadsheet, then copy these keywords, go to any LLM, ask it to cluster them out. Then you will see like exactly how they work in groups. And then try to figure out what is actually your topical authority, because one of these groups will stand out and show you like, look, you gain a lot more traffic here than with other topics. So this is the easy way how you can use an LLM also to understand it.
Do you favor any particular LLM for doing this?
I don't think so. Like, I think you can use Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini. I never use Gemini for that, but like, I think it would work out. Like, I don't think it's a problem.
Okay, so that's the easy way of doing it, yeah.
Yeah, the hard way is actually to use embeddings. So to turn all of these keywords, to do a big export to, let's say, BigQuery from your Google Search Console to actually understand like more data, and then add embeddings. Embeddings are actually changing all the keywords into vectors and then understanding what's the clustering with the help of AI to understand BigQuery, so SQL, like understanding exactly what is the topical authority, because it can be that you have multiple pools, as I mentioned in the beginning. Like there's multiple niches that you have a topical authority. You're not close to one, but maybe multiple ones. And then the question is how they're combined. But that you need to be a data analyst, true data analyst, to do that.
So why would you want to do it the hard way? Is it more accurate?
I think it's more accurate and you can see more. So you can spot more things. But to be honest, like for most websites, at least the smaller ones, the hunch kind of would be very, very accurate. But remember to actually narrow down your expertise, your topical authority to a small niche, and then like try to expand it. See like if you're expanding it, are you still a topical authority? One of the people on Brighton SEO was talking about it, and she was having a travel blog. And basically what she was focused on, like in her topical authority, was only traveling with trains. And this is the niche that she was a topical authority in the whole space of travel blogs.
So what happens if Google gets it wrong? What happens if Google is sending you the wrong type of traffic that doesn't do your business any good and you want to change your topical authority?
First of all, you at least know it. Like you understand what's the problem, because like you will not sit in front of Google Search Console seeing like your data and saying like, okay, what the hell, Google? I don't understand why you're promoting like some kind of content and you're not promoting the things that I want. And then the question is what you should do. It's still a fresh topic. So the question is like what kind of content you should produce, and maybe what kind of content you should actually remove from your website. I don't have an answer for that yet. Would love to do some tests and would like to understand more. But switching definitely would mean producing more content in the niche that you want to become a topical authority in. And then you can see it from the Google Search Console perspective, if it's working or not.
Why does Google get it wrong? Does it get it wrong generally because a site's published irrelevant, non-topic focused content? Or does it just need to improve its algorithms?
I think it doesn't get it wrong. I think we're wrong. So like we as people, we like to think that we're doing things right. But in my opinion, like I'm half a developer, half a marketer. I believe in data. And in my opinion, in most cases that I saw, we were publishing things like when it got it wrong, like Google got it wrong, we were publishing things that were basically not aligned with our niche. Like, so the question is to look at our own content plan from this perspective. Actually, are we doing the things that we should to become topical authority in the niche or not? Like in most cases, in my opinion, we as humans, we were wrong.
Is it possible to analyze the topical authority of competitors? Because the way that you're talking about analyzing this is obviously using Google Search Console data, so you wouldn't have that data for competitors.
I think it's possible using tools like Majestic, like probably like if you can pull the keywords from different competitors, you can do the same analytics based on estimations. It will not be as accurate because in Google Search Console, you get really accurate data when it comes to how many clicks you got, but it will give you a hunch on where's the topical authority of your competitors. So definitely it's doable. You can do it the same way, but based on estimations that you get from tools that give you estimations based on keywords.
And then is it worthwhile determining your content strategy based upon the topical authorities of your competitors? So if you've already determined that you've got a few competitors being very successful in a particular niche topical authority and you've identified another area that you think is underserved, is it worthwhile basing your content strategy on that?
Possibly, but always think about it from the benefits of your perspective, right? So if you feel that it's aligned with what you want to achieve, then yes. If you want to just copy the things that your competitor is doing because they're doing it, then think twice, because you don't know what is the goal of your competitor, what is the KPI, what is the strategy behind what they have. So the question is if it's aligned with your goals. Like if yes, then do it. If not, avoid it.
So if SEOs like the sound of this and they're talking about topical authority internally with other marketing teams, how do you articulate the value of doing well in a topical authority? I mean, can you compare the financial value of publishing a post that is relevant to your topical authority versus one that isn't?
I don't know. I don't have an opinion yet, like, to be honest, on this perspective. Definitely, like, if you have a topical authority in a specific niche, it's like having your own personal keyword difficulty. So even though that the keyword difficulty of a keyword is like 80, maybe within your topical authority, your keyword difficulty for the same keyword would be like 20. So if you understand exactly what is your topical authority, that means it will gradually like lower the keyword difficulty of the keywords within your topical authority. This is still a fresh topic because it's connected with how we understand the language, and embeddings is one of the best ways to understand and turn everything into a mathematical equation because we can compare vectors together and see like how they're aligned. So I would love to see in 2025 how people are using embeddings to understand keyword difficulty and exploit basically it to the extent that they can.
And talking about keywords, how do you determine the keywords that are likely to be most relevant to your topical authority that you haven't attempted to rank for yet?
So this is the whole question of like searching for new keywords. Like we can use multiple techniques of searching new keywords. Like for example, we can go to our competition and just check what do they rank for. And then if we know exactly what's our topical authority based on the keywords from Google Search Console, based on embeddings, we can turn the same keywords that we just downloaded from your competition into embeddings and see what topics did we not cover yet, but are within the niche that we want to cover. So it's kind of like a new, still like very fresh way of looking for keywords within specific niches, but basically, you have to put in analytical skills and data scientist skills into that. And that became available because of embeddings.
And what's your method to determine what type of content and volume of content to publish in relation to your target keyword phrase?
Still, again, I think I don't have an answer. It's a difficult one. Like my opinion about owning topical authority is basically create content to the extent to cover the most out of the topical authority and then grow gradually your topical authority to different niches. So basically, to simplify it, I think you as a content writer or as a company should be the Wikipedia of your niche to cover the topical authority inside out.
If an SEO is struggling for time, what should they stop doing right now so they can spend more time doing what you suggest in 2025?
So definitely, if you're struggling with time, you should focus on the things that bring you the biggest conversion rates. But to understand it, it's not just about adding more topics into your content calendar, but understanding which topics you should add to your content calendar that will gain the most, give you the most value, the most conversions, because this is what SEO should focus on. It's not about the traffic on its own, but it's what's the lowest ROI that you can get on bringing you leads and conversions. But to do it, you have to understand what's your topical authority and to make better decisions faster and not to make mistakes in choosing the topics that you're going after.
Brilliant. Okay, and I think it's worthwhile just honing in on a particular word that you've used a couple of times, embeddings. How would you summarize what embeddings are for SEOs that are struggling, just to put a finger on what you're meaning by that?
Sure thing. So embeddings is turning anything to a vector. So these LLMs are really good because they're large language models. And what they can help you out with is turning any kind of text. So for example, keywords, the whole article, maybe a paragraph, maybe headings, and turning into vectors. And this way, like if you have a vector of a couple of thousands of dimensions, so it's like really hard to understand from a human's perspective, but it's something that you can compare together because it's within a specific topic. So this way we can actually understand how things are working together. In an example, if we're talking on Wikipedia about New York, we know that New York is connected to Statue of Liberty, Manhattan, and a couple of other things. And probably the whole concept of New York, like if it's an article, also will have a similar embedding. So like a vector that I can compare it together. And this way I can align all these topics together just to understand exactly that maybe they're close to each other.
And do you have any preferred software or methodology used to do that?
It's LLMs. Like, so basically, if you're using ChatGPT, they have like a special model for embeddings. It's called GPT embeddings. Also, there is one in Gemini, and as far as I know, Claude also has it. But from the chat perspective, it's impossible to do it. You can do it only through API. Because like, what would happen if you ask for embeddings like in ChatGPT? It would give you a vector of 1000 dimensions, and what will you do with that? Like, I don't know. It's really hard. Like, so it has to be actually through API to understand it.
Tom Winter is Chief Growth Officer and co-founder at SEO Wind, and you can find him over at seowind.io. Tom, thanks so much for adding your additional insight to SEO in 2025.
Thanks a lot.
I've been your host, David Bain, and you've been listening to SEO in 2025 Additional Insights, a Majestic series that complements the original podcast, video series, and book. Find out more at seoin2025.com.